All right, how much is the seller closing cost for first wholesale deal? What's going on? So how much is let's see the topic again. How much is the seller closing cost for first wholesale deal? All right, so this was a question that came in as usual, and I figured we should address it together. It's a little confusing, but when there's confusion, it's time to learn something new, right? So let's get through that really quickly. How much is the seller closing cost? Right, so it depends on what strategy we're using, right? But before we get into what strategy, what is wholesaling? Wholesaling is the art and science of finding deeply discounted properties, right? Locking it up under a contract, right? That gives you purchasing right at a price that's discounted, okay? 65% or below what the property is actually worth in today's market, right? After repair, right? So if the property needs some repairs, you have to adjust that number 65% for the repair. Then you turn around, you sell the right, okay? You assign the right to purchase the property to somebody else in exchange for an assignment fee. Assignment fee can be $10,000, $5,000, $20,000. My average is $15,000 to $25,000, $30,000 per deal. My highest ever is $82,000. I'm still trying to beat that, okay? And that's how that works. So you that's wholesaling right there, okay? So the question is, what is seller's closing cost? Okay, now if you understand wholesaling the way I just described it, you're somewhat kind of in between. You're helping the distressed seller, right? And you're helping them get rid of a piece of crap property, and you're connecting them with end buyer, cash buyer, investor, right? And you're kind of like what they call the middleman. And I don't mind saying the word middleman, because a realtor, an agent, it's not a middleman, okay? An agent is representing the interest of either side. They are representing the interest of a buyer or the interest of a seller, okay? So the way they make their money is they make money a percentage of a sales commission percentage of the sales price. But as a wholesaling professional, that's not what you do. You actually have what they call an equitable interest in the property, because you actually lock it up under contract that gives you the right to purchase the gives you the right to purchase the property. So what you're selling is precisely not the property, but you're selling, or the right technical word is you're assigning the right to purchase the contract to somebody else, okay? So for your first wholesale deal, or your second or your third, I don't know why it would matter. I don't think it matters, right? It depends on what exit strategy you're using, because once you lock up a property under a contract, you now want to assign somebody. You can use double closing, right? You can use assignment contract, which is straight assigning the contract. When you're assigning the contract with a simple assignment contract to an end buyer, you're not really required to pay a closing cost, okay? Now, as part of our negotiation tactics, we've used strategies where we'll say, hey, how about I do this deal for you that you don't worry about any of the closing costs? Because the seller will have a closing cost, the actual original seller of the property. They do have a closing cost, right? Closing cost that involves maybe realty transfer, taxes, the taxes they may owe on the property, the cost of using a lawyer. They decide to use an attorney, right? The cost to the title company charges them sometimes a couple $100 for different things, right? But they usually have least amount of seller closing costs, and the buyer will have closing costs. If they have a lender, their closing cost is a lot higher because they have a lender, right? Now for this kind of deals, we're talking about hard money lender, right? So, but you as a wholesaler, meaning all you did was secure the contract in the first place, and then you're assigning the contract. For an assignment strategy, there are 3 different strategies for exit strategy, right? There's assignment, there is double closing, and there's something we call LLC transfers. Okay, which means the contract that you signed in the first place was done under an LLC that you own, and all you're doing is selling that LLC and anything it owes. Okay, so, and you just collect a fee for selling your LLC because the LLC has the right to the property, right? So you want to look for good attorneys that's investor friendly, that entertains this kind of deals. They are legal. It's just a matter of if they're comfortable with it or not, right? So now, with that being said, there are three strategies. LLC transfers. The most popular is assignment or double closing, right? Typically, we try to avoid double closing an LLC. It's because it's easier to just do an assignment contract. Just keep in mind, assignment contract also limits how much you can make. When it comes to hard money lenders, hard money lenders are not comfortable with you making more than $10,000-$15,000. Okay, so if it's a huge deal like where you're about to make $40,000, a hard money lender, if the buyer is getting a hard money lender, may frown at that. Just keep that in mind. So in that case, you want to use double closing because they don't have to see that part of the transaction, because it's a completely different transaction, right? Because it's double transaction. So when it comes to double transaction, as a wholesaler, you will have a seller closing cost and a buyer closing cost on either side. Okay, does that make sense? So on the A to B, so there's A to B and there's B to C for two closing costs. That's why they call it double closing. So you are the buyer on the first transaction, right? You have to pay closing cost on that end, right? And on the second part of the transaction, which is the second sandwich part of the transaction, you're the seller. You also have to pay. So it's a double closing. So it comes to double closing cost for you as a wholesaler. But usually it's because you're making a whole lot more money. Remember, if you're making less than $15,000, just keep it simple. Okay, assignment, you don't pay any closing cost. But if it's more than that, if you're making more than $40,000, $5,000 closing cost is not you're still gonna make a lot more money, right? So it's better to just do double closing, even though yes, you're gonna have double closing cost. Okay, but again, because this is usually all cash transactions, it's not a lot of money. Okay, we're talking about somewhere between 3, 5, 6% of the transaction itself. Okay, so if you're doing a $200,000 deal, let's say 3% of that, 6%, $6,000. Okay, so you're looking at about $6,000, $7,000, $5,000. You're about to make $35,000. That means you still get to make $25,000 or so. Okay, so it's basically a risk versus benefits. You weigh the pros and the cons. If you're going to make a lot more money, you pay a little bit more closing cost. If you're going to make $15,000 or less, which is what hard monies are comfortable with, if there's an assignment fee on the contract, then you can keep it simple. You pay no closing cost, right? Now this game is about volume. Okay, it's about volume. You want to do this multiple times and not to worry about. I know I told you the $82,000 story, but if you chase after that, there's a high chance that you will never do any deals. Okay, just focus on making $10,000-$15,000 at a time, and then you keep it simple, assignment fees, and you're just working on marketing. Really, majority of your activities are gonna be about marketing. Okay, this is a marketing game. Okay, it's about reaching out to more potentially distressed homeowners, and distressed properties, vacant properties, pre-foreclosures, tax delinquencies. It's about reaching out to those people, and that's your operation. And your operation is really, really that simple. And once you find somebody that's willing to sign a contract, you sign a contract and you partner with realtors and other investors to dispose of the deals. But keep all your activity on producing and filling your pipeline with leads upon leads upon leads upon leads. And that's how you build this game in a way that's less stressful, and you don't have to worry about all the craziness that comes with double closing and the closing costs. You let attorneys worry about those kind of things. Ultimately, focus on learning the game. And the best way, if you're getting started for the first time, is to download the book Smart Real Estate Wholesaling.com, and then follow through that process, and then find a way to talk to me. You will see that as soon as you get to the back end, and then you have access to everything. All right, hopefully you've been enlightened and educated. I'll see you on the next one, and peace.